Damn my education. I can't find the words to say about the things caught in my mind. The next song is Don't Go Away. Don't Go Away is one of the true hidden gems of Be Here Now, because it has seemed to have been forgotten about in Oasis lore. Well, not amongst the fans, I don't think. Although the YouTube only has 1.5 million plays, which pretty low for by Oasis standards. They'd usually be hitting hundreds of millions. It hasn't been played live, as far as Setlist FM tells me, since 1998. So it does seem to be one of those songs that have sort of fallen into the other category of the potential live acts, which is a big shame because it is arguably Noel's best love song. It starts off with an absolutely gorgeous guitar tone, and it's only 3 or 4 notes, but it just hits that frequency of just sounding like crying almost, but also slightly hopeful. It is a very, very unique guitar tone that he's got. When I say unique, it sort of reminds me of Sweet Child of Mine's guitar solo or guitar tone, but it's not a guitar tone that you necessarily associate with Oasis. But it just sort of finds that it sort of cuts through and it sort of goes straight to the emotions of it. The lyrics are, as I said, just one of the most straightforward love songs that Noel's ever written. Don't go away, say what you'll say, forever today, in the time of my life, because saying about how he wants to be there when you're feeling down, and he wants to be there when you hit the ground. He wants to be with this person throughout everything. He just doesn't want this person to leave. And the Oasis sort of lyrical output doesn't really hit that sort of element of relationships very much. So when he does, and this time when he did, he actually hit it sort of right on the nose. It's so sort of overlooked that the Snarky ad didn't even give it a ranking, whereas the Manchester Evening News put it number 27. Now I think that does sort of tell you a story. I think Manchester Evening News is probably closer to a fair reflection of how good the song is compared to the Snarky ad. The song was released as a single in Japan, but nowhere else. I wonder if it had been made one of the singles, would it have a bit more of a elongated lifespan? And it really should have been a single. This is a 10 times better song than Stand By Me. All Around the World is sort of a different beast, but this, so it's more of an orchestral piece, and they had a big epic video and big animation and wanking over their Beatles porn, and it was different, so they probably did want to make that as a single, but this should have been a worldwide single. I think this would have been another number 1 for Oasis if they had released it as a straight up single. It's and for the Be Here Now, it's a lot more straightforward. It clocks in about 4.5 minutes. The instrumentation is relatively pared back. It's mostly guitar, drum and bass, but there is a string section that sort of invites itself in very organically. When the strings do come in, they feel like they've entered more organically, and they do feel like they're more part of generally more of the emotion of the song, rather than sort of flung in there just to add a bit of volume. The solos, it doesn't really go to town with a solo or anything. There's lovely wee guitar licks sort of in between the verses and the chorus and after certain lines, but the outro is a very nice arpeggiated acoustic guitar that doesn't outstay its welcome. It hasn't really been part of the song up until that, but then it does sort of see the song out in a really nice and just a really nice way, just a really nice outro, just to sort of just sort of settle on the emotional soundscape that he's brought in. Like I said, it's not on the live sets. Not since they toured this album. So I don't know whether maybe Noel has maybe a personal animosity to the song. There is a brilliant version, a live version that I found on the internet, decades ago, of just Noel singing it with an acoustic guitar I want to say it was in Tokyo, but I might be mixing that up with the fact that the single was released in Japan. But it was him just in a live setting, just an acoustic guitar, and it really brings out how strong the melody, the vocal melody is in the song. Like it is just the way every note seems to follow each note perfectly. Like it feels like the song, the melody line, you get the impression that it was one of those melodies that sort of wrote itself as he was just writing it down, because every note seems to follow each one the way you would expect it to, without feeling cliched or plagiarist or any of that. It just does feel like one of those songs that just it arrives fully formed whenever it's channeled through a songwriter as good as Noel Gallagher. So do check this out, because it is, as I said, Be Here Now gets a lot of bad press, including from the band themselves, well, specifically Noel. But this is one of their triumphs, and it's sort of buried in there in the middle of the album, and doesn't really, because it's associated with this album, it doesn't really get a fair shake when it comes to is this a good song or not. And it's a fantastic song. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant song. But that brings us to the end of the Be Here Now era. So there will not be any All Around the World on this list. It is just a tad too long. It's reasonably pleasant if you listen to the radio edit, but it does feel too much like they're spunking their Beatles. Like they really jumped on board the Beatles mania thing and Be Here Now, which I do think contributed to why people sort of turned away from them. I mean, where this notion that they're like the Beatles came from, I'm going to suggest that somebody in a record label or in an early music review or something just mentioned, oh, he writes melodies like Paul McCartney or something, and then because he actually does love the Beatles and Al McGee was trying to sell the records, they would put those two things together to get journalists to listen to the songs, and then that becomes this journalistic groupthink that, oh, the Beatles equals Oasis, Oasis equals the Beatles. It's not true until Noel decides he's going to actively try and copy the Beatles, and he really went to town with it on All Around the World. And in Be Here Now, there's a few elements where I've mentioned this. They put lyrical sort of references into the songs and stuff, and I just think there was no real need. It sort of cheapens it, well, for a while anyway. I think sort of the world has come back on this, but for a while it cheapened what Oasis was able to do, because trendsters and snarkers were able to just say, oh, they're just a Beatles tribute band or something similar to that. And Noel really, and Liam too, with his sort of John Lennon fetish, it allowed detractors, it gave detractors an easy criticism, which they indulged, and I think it doesn't reflect anywhere near the breadth and the energy and the breadth of creativity and the energy of music and the sheer balls to the wall rock that they were able to do, whereas also write a song like Don't Go Away, which was very heartfelt, and songs like Live Forever, which wrote a song about two mates just want to live forever and just have the crack all day. People didn't write songs like that, but Noel Gallagher could do it while he was sleeping, in his sleep, or just when if he had a half an hour, he could write the master plan in our studio session, but it was easy for them, some fucking trendster just say, oh, they're just the Beatles. So that won't be, so there'll be no All Around the World. There'll be no further from Be Here Now. We're now at the end of not just the Be Here Now era, but also what I've been calling the Bonehead or Guigsy Bonehead era, or the Bonehead Guigsy era, whichever you want to call it. Because obviously they'll be leaving ahead of the next album coming out. So stick around. Number 40 is coming up next.